Hey everyone, my topic for today is resolutions. I think we all go through that time of the year when we set our goals to make a drastic change. And usually we'll have a lot of enthusiasm to do that change for that 1 or 2 days after New Year's. But then it fades because the standard stuff of the day, the stressors that your days are made of, usually come into play. And then your resolution becomes a low priority. Those are all the things that you don't think about when you're making that ideal decision to lose 100 pounds overnight, or to quit tobacco, or to quit alcohol. What I want you to do is to maybe have a template in place to fill in the gaps and make your chances of sustainable change a little higher. Let's start out by just thinking about why and how to decide on coming up with a resolution. Every cell in the human body has its inherent knowledge, its inherent wisdom. And if we are really tapped into our source, we can usually get the message without thinking or without any effort at all. The problem is sometimes there's a lot of distractions that tell you don't listen to that message because there's other reasons to be living. And that's usually media. When you watch TV, when you see ads pop up on YouTube, when you have drug companies tell you that this is the best way to live life, then sometimes it gets to be confusing, or that message becomes a very loud message and it's hard to hear that inner wisdom again. So it is important to listen to what your body says, but it's also kind of important to hear and sift through all the other information that's out there from your doctors, from the television, from the radio, from the internet. Also from friends who probably mean well, but how they get through their resolutions might be a little different than how you get through your resolutions. So think this out. Don't just make it a reflex that you decided New Year's Eve and you're going to try to initiate in the first week of the new year. So how do you decide? Well, see what you would want to change by looking in the mirror and also determining the journey that you're on. In addition, as far as sifting through all that information I just talked about from outside sources, you determine what your health is telling you. If your blood pressure is high, if your cholesterol is elevated, if your sugar is high, those are the obvious. I can tell you that most Americans are overweight, and with being overweight comes high blood pressure, cholesterol, and sugar. Most Americans are also stressed out, and with that comes depression, anxiety, alcoholism, and drug abuse. Come up with one resolution. Try not to have too many. If they all link together to be one big standard that you're going to try to change, that's cool. Don't have this fishing net of 5 different things that you're going to change around, because it just makes sustainability a little bit tougher. You want to attain a summit that's easy to get to, or more tangible. If you have big goals, that's okay to keep big goals, but I might want to have you put together a bunch of little summits to get to that goal, and that way it's more sustainable. And it's important to give yourself reminders every day. Your average day is not necessarily 24 hours, but probably more 16 hours of wakeful interactions with the world. If you have constant reminders on sticky notes, on your smartphone, at your workplace, with a relative, with your kids at home, if you have constant reminders, then it'll keep you accountable. Because there's going to be stressors during the day that'll set you off of your journey. Being accountable to a third party or somebody like a coach, a doctor, a physical therapist, a personal trainer, a confidant, a relative, all these folks, if you get them on your team to kind of nudge you or kick you in the butt, whatever means that you get yourself on the road, it still helps you get through the stressors of the day. If you can have somebody that you're accountable to that's also been on the same journey, that'll be more important. One of the other bullet points that I usually will hear in my patients is, I know what to do, doc, I just have to do it. My usual rebuttal is that if you knew what to do, but it didn't sustain you, then the likelihood is you're going to also drop the ball this time around. So I wouldn't use old techniques. Even if they gave you a temporary sustainable change in the past, you are now older. Whether it's a minute older or 10 years older, and there are more challenges that you loaded into your backpack that'll weigh you down. So I would probably research and come up with a different plan. Next would be to have a deadline. If in the past you gave in quickly, then it's okay. I'd probably make it short summits to the next goal. If you daisy chain a whole bunch of summits together, it might make it more tangible, easier to get through. Whether you give yourself a little bit of a break between those summits, or you just go straight into the next summit, it's up to you. Sometimes sustainable changes of small increments will get you to a bigger goal at the end. And I've mentioned it several times already, but there's going to be things that stand as obstacles in your way. And those are usually the challenges of your average day. Most of you have developed ways to deal with common occurrences during your day, whether they're bills, traffic, family members, or economics. We have all put together our own coping skills to get past the day, and to have another challenge on top of that is asking for trouble, but sometimes by being able to visualize how life might be in the distant future will get you past all these challenges. Leonard Epstein talked about something called episodic future thinking. And it's a great concept that I think a lot of people already know of when they see athletes kind of visualizing sinking the basket, the three-pointer, or a baseball player hitting a home run out of the park. We are witness to it all the time, and you wonder, even if the athlete hasn't experienced the future event, they can still put it in their minds over and over again. And when they keep on rewinding the same visualization, it makes the nerves a little bit less frazzled, makes the stress response easier to control. I always talk about how to develop a mindful practice because it offsets those little tiny stressors that all of us have during the day. Well, if you're giving a speech or you're going through a major athletic event, or if you're going through a cancer or a chemotherapy or a big surgery of some sort, visualizing how you will do at the end with success will usually get you through that challenge with ease compared to just waiting till the last minute, trying to turn off that stress response that everybody has. That concept that Dr. Epstein mentioned as far as the episodic future thinking, or the EFT, it's meant to offset that impulsiveness that a lot of us have. The impulsive behavior, especially when it comes to resolutions where you're trying to lose weight or give up a substance of some sort, whether it's tobacco or high fructose corn syrup or fatty foods or overeating. When we revert back to that impulsive behavior, it's during the times of stress that we don't think, because it's in our nature to do that thing that we're trying to resolve from. And EFT, or visualization, helps us get past that impulsive gut reaction. Impulsive behavior is equal to instant gratification, and a lot of us, especially the young millennials, are used to instant gratification. And when you have that in your DNA, or at least in your habit, it makes it tough to wait for the reward, unless you change your reward to be massive. That concept of having one cookie now or having 3 cookies later. It's hard to fathom, but if you know there's a big reward down the line somewhere, it makes it easier to get through the day and get through your challenges. And that's where I, as your physician, will probably make it a little more tangible, and the reward can be, if you think about it, we are going to avoid that knee replacement, or we're going to avoid the surgery, or we're going to get you off the statin, or I'm going to take you off of one of your medicines. If I use that as the carrot that dangles in front of you, I think that's a great reward. And no question, when you get to that point off the medicine, and you'll save some money, you won't have any of the side effects of the prescription medicine that we need to control that disease process that you're going through. So you see how the concept of not just using New Year's as the time for resolving, but also using it as a framework to try to get into a healthy lifestyle. There's no rules that say you have to wait until the first of the year to make changes. In fact, usually when people see me for their physical exam, I give them homework and I say, let's readdress this thing in 3 to 6 months and see if we can make further changes and get you to that point where you don't even need to see me anymore. But in the end, with regards to resolutions, it's just another way to get you to this better level of sustainable living, less suffering, and feeling like you did when you were 20. Hopefully this has been helpful. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to me for weekly words of wisdom.